Hey folks, welcome back to Northern Outlier. I wish I was coming to you under better circumstances. As you can see, we have a bit of a water issue here in the garage. So in today's episode, we're going to go over the problem and also how I'm going to fix it. So stay tuned. So I first noticed this issue about 2 weeks ago. I came out to the garage one night, found all this water on the floor along the wall here behind me, and I quickly determined that this was because of the melting snow on the roof and the lack of eavestroughs or gutters, whatever you want to call them, on the garage. Yes, there's no eavestroughs. So all that melting snow was running off the roof, dripping down, hitting the concrete sidewalk just outside this wall, and then running back towards the building. You'd think that the concrete would be sloped away, but it's probably shifted over time. So that water was basically just running back towards the main wall, and there was just so much, it accumulated, and it just eventually worked its way under the sill plate. So along this whole wall, right from the door where you walk in, right to this back corner, there was water seeping in underneath that wall. So that was the first 2 weeks working on that wall. I come in 2 days ago, and I see this, a bunch of water coming in at this corner. I immediately went outside, and I could quickly tell that that corner is sitting almost below ground level, and the water's just accumulating, and it's just seeping in under that sill plate. To make matters worse, it's early March, technically still winter here in northwestern Ontario, and although it's been mild, the ground's still frozen, so there's not really much I can do. I'm just shop vacuuming up the water as it comes in. If we get any snow, I've been quick to use a roof rake or a roof shovel, whatever you want to call it, to pull that snow off the roof so I don't have to worry about any runoff. I'm picking up a dehumidifier. I'm going to run that in here, hopefully kind of suck some moisture out of the air. But until it warms up and the ground thaws out, there's not a whole lot I can do. The one thing about this that just boggles my mind is the fact that this was probably going on for several years before we bought this place. So the previous owners just neglected it. They didn't do anything, which to me, again, just blows my mind. Because when you buy a house, it's an investment. You want to take care of it, right? So having water coming in under the walls, even in a garage, is just not a good situation. There can be a lot of long-term damage. So, and that's something I'm gonna have to find out later on in the summers if there's any kind of rot, because it'll probably have to be dealt with. But why they didn't fix it just boggles my mind. So I guess I should point out too that this garage is constructed slab on grade or slab on fill construction. So essentially it's a slab of concrete and the walls are sitting basically flat all the way around. I don't think this is necessarily the best way to go. If I was going to build this myself, and I very well might in the future rebuild this, I would do what's called stem walls. So stem walls, when you pour the concrete slab, you also pour a portion around the outside. It's basically a raised piece of concrete all the way around where the walls are going to be. And then your walls sit on top of that. So your walls aren't sitting directly on the slab itself. And I know there's people out there that have had issues with stem walls with water coming in still. I think if you do it correctly, you should have no issues. The other thing too is when the walls are sitting up higher, you don't have to worry about any water damage to those walls. In my case, it very well could be rot in these walls. So anyways, I can't say I'm a fan of how this garage is built. I feel fortunate to have this space, but it's just not built well. The land around it is not graded properly. I've kind of taken a walk around now. It's definitely not graded. I've seen a slope in the driveway where the driveway actually slopes back towards the garage, which I didn't really pick up on before. But I have had water come in on that one corner, the front corner, so that's a bit of an issue. And yeah, no eavestroughs or gutters, whatever, like what the heck? So having said that, the first thing I'm going to do is install eavestroughs on the garage. So on either side, each run is about 35 feet, so 70 feet total. I've already looked into buying it locally, and you can only buy it in sections. So 10-foot or 16-foot sections, meaning I'd have to overlap them, and I really prefer to have seamless. So there are a few guys locally that will actually come out, take the measurement. They have a roll of aluminum and a machine, basically make it to fit exactly. They'll even put it up for you. I got no problem putting it up myself. I'll probably do that. But that's the first thing I'm going to do. And honestly, I think putting up eavestroughs will solve the majority of this issue. I won't have water dripping off the sides and building up along those walls. So that is the first part of this project. So once I have the eavestroughs installed, I'm also going to install a French drain system just outside this back wall here, and then the long wall over here. So the two sides that don't currently have concrete around them. And I won't get into too many specifics on a French drain system, but essentially it's going to be digging a trench. This side here, I'm going to start up near the driveway. I've seen where water comes back towards the garage there, and it seems to be a bit of a low point, I guess, technically. But I'm going to use that as my high point. Drain water back to this back corner of the garage. So I'll be sloping the trench down to that corner. I'll probably slope the trench along this side to this corner as well. I don't really want to go that way because it would go towards the house. So right here, I think, is my spot where I want to get it away from the garage. Because I don't want to go that way. It'll go towards the house. If I go out this way, it goes into the driveway. So it's really my only option. But yeah, essentially it's digging your trench, putting in some rock, putting down some landscape fabric, putting down your pipe. I'm going to use PVC, wrapping it in the fabric, backfilling with rock essentially. And you just want to make sure it's sloped accordingly. And it's going to go all to this back corner and away from the garage. It's a relatively simple idea, French drain, lots of manual labor. But I think if I do it right, that with the eavestrough will solve 99% of this issue. So once I have the eavestroughs and the French drain installed, the last thing I'm going to do on the outside is go around and seal up the lower edge. So right now there's a small gap, very small gap between the siding and the slab where moisture is getting in. So what I'm going to do is go around and basically use, I think, caulking and flashing to kind of seal that up. In some cases there's actual gap, like this back corner. There's a gap between the bottom of the sill plate and the concrete. So I'm going to use like wood shims, probably pack some concrete in there to support it, and then use caulking and flashing on the outside. I've never done this before. Can't find much information on it. So if you have done it, in the comments down below, just let me know what you used, or if you have any suggestions at all. That would be much appreciated. But I think if I do the eavestroughs, the French drain, seal that bottom edge, I think I will have solved this issue completely. So there was one more thing I'm going to do on the outside just to seal this up. Apologize for the mess behind me. I've got stuff all over because of the water. But I'm going to seal off the garage doors right along the bottom edge. So right now I'm noticing some water will come back through underneath that bottom edge of the door. So I'm going to buy those rubber strips. You can get on Amazon. They're not that expensive. You basically cut it to fit. And then you basically just use, like I used on my shed, I used like construction adhesive just to glue it down. So I'm going to do that on both doors to stop any water from coming in the front. So once I have all that done on the outside, I want to come back to the inside. I want to pull the trim along the lower edge of the walls as well as the lower part of sheeting. I'm lucky too, it looks like, because they basically sheeted from the roof down. So there's a 2-foot strip, it looks like, around the entire outer portion at the bottom of OSB. So I want to pull that off. And I just want to look at that sill plate and the lower section of the studs just to make sure there's no significant rot or water damage. I'm hoping there isn't. If there is, I'll have to deal with it accordingly. I would hope that they use treated wood, at least for the sill plate. It would be silly if they didn't, really. But again, I just want to pull that off, just see what kind of state it's in, and then do some repairs if required. So when completing all those projects, I think I'm going to solve this issue completely, and I should have no more water in the garage. All I know is that this needs to change. There can be no more water coming in under the walls. It bothers me a lot. I don't know why it didn't bother the previous tenants, but I think in doing those steps that I've laid out, I think it's going to solve it, and we'll never have to worry about it, hopefully again. And we'll have a completely dry garage going forward. So that's my rant. That's what I got going on. I know I laid out a bunch of projects in a previous video that I wanted to do on the inside. I think I'm gonna have to put that on hold until I deal with this issue. But having said that, you guys are now gonna learn about eavestroughs, French drains, sealing the lower edge, garage door strips, everything. I'm gonna take you along for the ride every step of the way. So that's all I have today, guys. Thank you for watching. As you can see, I have a little adversity right now, but don't you worry. I will persevere and we'll get through this together. I want you to go ahead now and hit that like button. Hit subscribe down below if you haven't already. Stay tuned. We'll see you next time. Thank you, guys.